Yeah, hi folks. Now I think it is important to understand why minor parties can't break through in New Zealand. And besides the cannibalisation aspect of it, this is why. We have two bubbles in New Zealand, a mainstream media bubble and a social media bubble. And the social media bubble is restricted by size, which means minor parties have to get mainstream coverage in order to break through. And that will never happen while we have a corrupt media and a corrupt government. And it doesn't matter how good your policies are, nothing will change. You will not break through unless we have a better media like Fox News or Sky News Australia or Newsmax, for example. So until we get one of those, we have no alternative but to force ourselves on the mainstream media through relentless protests, etc. Now I'm going to show you a poll, but first,
until now, there has been no current, real alternative to the existing power structure that simply presumes it will take the majority at this 2023 election.
Yeah, now this woman had the naive audacity to assume that she could walk in and take the majority in her first election.
The most that smaller parties are looking at accomplishing is to be a sort of also-ran party. They often talk of just scraping in over the 5% threshold, as if that would be an achievement.
And they were right, and you were wrong.
Let's take a look. National is on 36, down 1 from our poll last Wednesday. Labour is on 26, also dropping 1. The Greens are on 13, up 1 since last week. ACT is steady on 12. New Zealand First is creeping up, now on 6. Remember, you need 5 to get into Parliament, and Te Pāti Māori is on 2, down 1.
Yeah, now I would say New Zealand First is getting its lift from National and the minor parties, including New Zealand Loyal.
Let's take a look at some of the other parties now. The Opportunities Party is steady on 1. New Zeal registering for the first time, that's former National MP Alfred Naru's party. And New Conservative and New Zealand Loyal are also on 1.
So Liz Gunn can't even beat the New Conservatives, whose leader Helen Hooton is as inspiring as a dead fish. It's time for Gunn to eat crow, don't you think? And this is why Winston is winning. He says something controversial and the media covers him.
Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. Winston Peters' election rally has been stormed by a protester in Gisborne who called his supporters racist and accused him of bad-mouthing Māori.
Race was a key element in last night's News Hub Leaders debate, and as Lloyd Burr reports, a key target in a race relations speech by Chris Hipkins today.
A challenge to New Zealand First on who came to New Zealand first. This local Māori woman confronting him over his claim Māori are not Indigenous to New Zealand. His mind is eventually coming to his aid. The protester eventually leaving, although not before having abuse hurled at her.
You are the racist, coming from a racist.
Race relations is a key element of this election and a key element of the Peters playbook, which his party's following. This is his rangitata candidate Robert Ballantyne speaking about Māori at a meeting in Timaru.
Cry if you want to, we don't care, you've pushed it too far. And we're the party with the cultural mandate and the courage to cut out your disease and bury you permanently.
Yeah, now I wonder who gave him and Winston the courage to speak the truth like they are. This guy did, by relentlessly exposing the treaty corruption and getting right in the face of the mainstream media.
Chris Hipkins put that quote to Christopher Luxon at last night's News Hub Leaders Debate.
You to Party Greens coming to power in 3 years.
Do you think that's racist?
I do. I don't think
You wimp.
that's acceptable
So why are you
at
willing
all. I
to
don't
have
think
them
that's
sitting around the
acceptable at
cabinet
all.
table?
News Hub called Valentine to ask him about his comments. He referred us back to his leader.
Do you think the comment is racist?
No, of course it's not. The people who are saying that, it is racist. They are the ones who are racist.
Exactly.
Winston not just defending, but doubling down. Hipkins scaling up, using a speech in Kawakawa to blast race baiting.
We've seen leaders who see anti-Māori positions as vote winners. They reach out to New Zealanders through one-liners like one system for all.
Yes, Chippy, it's called equality. Something your party used to preach.
Putting the narrative that Māori somehow are getting things that other New Zealanders aren't.
That's a dig at Luxon, who wants to abolish the Māori Health Authority and repeal Three Waters.
You're accusing Luxon of race baiting, essentially, right?
Well, I'm certainly accusing the collective National Act, New Zealand First potential coalition of doing it.
So is Luxon race baiting?
Well, he's certainly not calling it out.
I disagree completely. I mean, Chris Hipkins is a desperate guy in a desperate situation. He's turned the debate into a very negative one and a personal one.
Are you and your party race baiting?
Oh, of course we're not, and that's the kind of stuff that racists do.
Exactly.
That racist vitriol has been particularly prevalent here in Northland. Labour's Willow Jean Prime targeted with some pretty feral behaviour.
Whenever I said a te reo Māori word, like puku, for full tummies, lunches in schools, I was shouted at. When I said Aotearoa, the crowd responded, "It's New Zealand."
Because it is New Zealand. Meanwhile,
I was shocked when I saw Brian Tamaki and Sue Gray on the One News. On One News. You don't get on One News if you're a rebel. They don't allow you in their room. We are not allowed in any media. We are silenced everywhere.
and that's because you're not in their face enough.
The Freedom and Rights Coalition protest in Wellington has ended peacefully after thousands of people marched through the city's streets to Parliament.
Police had bolstered their numbers and blocked off roads after fears it could turn violent. Leighton Hakel reports.
Taking over the capital's streets on the road to Parliament. 2,000 people led by this man, Brian Tamaki, who wants to be in power.
Biggest campaign event. Probably is.
The protest come campaign event began in Civic Square, where his followers, armed with flags, balloons and plenty of signs, shared a lot of different messages.
This is right here, life is a journey.
We have the power to be who we are. I want people to wake up.
Now here's Carol Sakey doing her bit. Where are you, Liz?
To what's going on in New Zealand.
No more climate change. I don't know what it means, but yeah.
Even more confusion with anti-co-governance campaigner Julian Batchelor turning up.
It's a protest cocktail.
And here's Julian Batchelor doing his bit. Where are you, Liz?
Despite that, the group was united in song and supportive of Hannah Tamaki's anti-transgender rhetoric.
Silly old men dressed like girls are trying to take our rights away.
Then they all hit the road.
While there are multiple reasons this group is protesting today, they say their focus is on their children, their tamariki, and they've asked all the families to come to the front of this march as we head to Parliament.
Flanked by families, Destiny Church leader Brian Tamaki and his Freedoms Party sidekick Sue Gray led...
Now, Liz, whether you like these people or not is irrelevant. They are here and they are getting exposure and you are not, because they are here and you are not.
The march against the United Nations Agenda 2030, taking aim at sex and gender education.
I want them to say unequivocally that our children will be safe in this New Zealand that they're going to create.
Around 2,000 supporters marched with them, passing a counter-protest on the way. 100 police officers had been brought in case things turned violent. Many of this crowd were here when it flared up last year during the anti-mandate occupation.
We stood for you then, we'll stand for you now.
And just like that, with dozens of children sitting on the steps, the protest turned into a rally for votes.
Who will you vote for?
Before the 2,000-odd Freedom Party followers departed without any trouble this time.
Well, Leighton joins us now from empty Parliament grounds. Kia ora, Leighton. What have police said about today's protest?
Well, they are pleased that it was peaceful and pleased that it's over. Police also say that they've had no issues reported from the march, calling it uneventful, so uneventful that they've begun reopening the streets around Parliament earlier than they had planned to. Some of the bollards and the fences around the grounds do remain, and we have seen the odd officers roaming the grounds as well. But as for the protesters, they have completely cleared out. Not a protester in sight. However, police do say that they are working with other groups planning a similar protest for Saturday.
Yeah, now I think Julian is part of that as well. Yeah, now folks, we own TVNZ, but it doesn't give the minor parties equal airtime as the major parties get. So why doesn't Liz Gunn take them to court and force them to give us equal airtime? Or at least organise mass protest outside of TVNZ instead of complaining about it. Anyway, folks, I've posted all the relevant links below.